when you're thinking about building a deal sourcing machine? What else is important? How else do you think about it?
Oh, we can go so much in depth on this subject because so here's the thing. Those are just funnel, right? So let's say if I talk to 10, 15, 20, or even 100 realtors, right? Investor-focused realtors in different regions. And I started having deal flow coming in. Or maybe property managers start bringing some deals coming in. Now, the second thing is that how do you actually determine the ARV, right? A lot of people are like, okay, I need to haggle. But no, it's not true. It's just you need to be able to determine what you're trying to achieve here, right? What's your minimum margin? What's the ARV? And what's your maximum offer that you need to put in? So the second step is literally just deal analysis, right? Try to analyze or pick up those numbers as quickly as possible because good deal doesn't wait, right? Doesn't wait for you. Good deal will get picked up almost immediately, right, by other investors if they can process information a little quicker, right? So in my actually 8-week training, I kind of just broke it down into this sequence, right? When the deal flow comes in, now you have to analyze the deal. Now the second thing is, the one after is like, how do you actually negotiate? And this is where I talk about negotiation is kind of like a sales, right? Tonality matters. How you say a sentence can mean two different things. Right, and I joke around with many of our students and many of our members. I'm just like, when Joy, my wife, calls me "Hey Ping" versus "Hey Ping," right? It tells me two different things. Like I'm expecting two different things. So those tweaking in tonality and the message and sort of our script, it actually will lead to different results just based on how you approach them. In today's market, there's way too many beginner investors that try to get into the offensive mode, right? Try to attack other people's condition properties and try to bring the cost as low as possible. Why don't we change a different approach? Hey, what do you need, right? I see that you're doing this. I'm sure this home is important to you, right? Like bring out the human element in that conversation. And from there, just be like, hey, listen, honestly, I'm an investor. Or you can say, hey, I'm a family, I'm a very, a community guy. Like I just want to kind of fix it up, right? Provide a little bit more housing, and then from there I can provide a little bit. If you keep yourself a little bit more humble and take that kind of approach, usually it makes people want to work with you, right? So step by step is like deal flow and then deal analysis. How do you actually have a conversation with both seller, maybe property manager and realtors, and try to get all of them to want to work with you, and then you move into sort of like your offer. Because your offer now needs to be, your offer needs to protect you, basically. So the right condition, right clause, contingency plans, and all that stuff. And after that, you can kind of figure out your strategy afterwards.
In today's market, how many offers are you having to make before you get a deal? Is there a general rule that you teach to investors on hey, don't be, because I see beginner investors all the time get so frustrated when their first one or their second one doesn't go through. And I'm like, come on guys, we're in this is the long game.
Yeah. So whenever I get that answer, I usually just tell them that, listen, forget about the actual conversion rate, right? Because here's the thing. Any beginning investor, they get frustrated pretty quickly because they get on the hype of, hey, I'm going to be in real estate. And all of a sudden they realize how difficult it is. But the truth is consistency is the key. So I told them that, listen, my conversion rate is this much, right? Anywhere between 100 to 150 conversation for us to get into one really good deal. Okay, that's a lot of work. But here's the thing, focus on just making one verbal offer a day. It's not that difficult. Right, just focus on that because here's the thing: the number can fluctuate quite a bit based on the market condition. It can fluctuate quite a bit based on your skill set because you might be getting better at tonality. But too many people are thinking about, I need to make 100 offers. No, just focus on making one offer at a time, right? And make sure you don't lose that momentum. And at some point, you're gonna actually have some sort of conversation that's leading to an actual deal. That's where we can have a conversation about, hey, this worked. Let's double down on that. Let's increase the volume on that. Maybe instead of you doing one offer, maybe now we need to do 3 verbal offers. And maybe out of 10 verbal offers, 1 is going to be an actual offer that you submitted through your realtor. Right? So I like to kind of focus on put a bigger vision on the back of our head, focus on daily habit and a development. Once we can hit that every single day, which is what I call KPA, key performance action, that will lead to the right KPI for you.
Wow, that's great. So KPA is like in sales, I think they call that the lead indicator.
Yeah.
Right? That's like the input, and the KPI is the lag indicator.
Exactly.
Hey, this is what's happened. That's beautiful, though. I've never heard KPA. I got to be honest. Key performance action.
Yeah.
One verbal, that's gold. And that's probably, I think if someone's a beginner investor and they're like, well, I don't have that flow yet. I mean, you could still put one verbal offer in on a day, even if they were on market deals, right? If you're just on market, off market, like just make an offer a day.
Yeah.
Even if they're aggressive offers.
Exactly. And the truth is that verbal offer is not hard, man. Like if you can run the numbers, if you look at something, you're having a conversation with the agent, just be like, hey, listen, like I know the price is at, depending on the area, but let's say asking price is like 400K, right? You're like, hey, listen, like based on my number, I'm going to have to go below asking. Am I wasting your time? Oh, no. Bring the offer in. Okay. The number that actually works out for me is about 350, right? I don't want to waste your time. I respect your time, right? But would that work for you? Like, would you spend the time to actually prepare an offer? If they say, you know what, let's see what happens. Boom, that's one offer. That's one verbal offer that you made over the call. It's not that hard.
That's a good script. That is a good script.
Yeah. And if they say, no, that's way too low. Okay, I don't want to offend my clients. Okay, no problem. Honestly, I like working with you. You're very honest with your position, right? If you see anything that fit into my criteria, I would love to actually work with you and have you earn that commission on my end. Because you're motivating the agents to double in the deal. So yeah, that's why I think building rapport, building connection is so important.
But the way you did that is the most aggressive, not aggressive way to offer. What is 50,000 of 4? Was that 10% would be 40 grand, right? So 15% below that is a beautiful script. I hope people wrote that down or re-listen to that part. That leads into my next question for you. I was going to ask you, like, what advice do you have for somebody who is shy to be aggressive about like, oh, I don't want to offer that because like, what if they get offended? Or like, what if that's too low for them? I mean, honestly, you kind of answered it already because that script is so like, it's so soft and it makes them feel special while also getting your number across to them. So I think, but what other advice do you have for someone who, their numbers work at, really low, but they want to make the verbal offer anyway?
Yeah, I think being honest is the key here, right? Because sometimes people come up with a completely different script or stories to get to that number, right? And the moment that stories don't add up, right, people will lose that kind of trust and you end up losing that transparency. And you have to regain that trust again, and it just becomes a very messy conversation, right? Because now people are poking your lie, right? And you have to lie again to cover that lie. So usually, like honestly, if you're talking to realtors who are investor focused, just be like, hey, listen, I'm an investor. I just want to like make my number work. Or if you say, hey, this is my very first project, I just want to live into a property that has a bit of value add approach so that I can do some work myself with my parents or with my uncle, right? We want to, or co-living, like me and my buddy, we're trying to like find a couple projects that we can like fix up a little bit, right? If you make that very clear, then obviously the agent's going to be like, okay, so now you're not looking for anything turnkey, and anything that's not turnkey, you can literally just be like, hey, I do have my number that I need to go in, right? Would that be a waste of time? As long as you are showing a lot of respect for their time, I don't think this conversation will ever be uncomfortable. You can even say, hey, if it's a no problem, we just move on to see the next project, right? But I just wanted to know if this number is worth your time to actually drive an offer, right? And if the agent has that listing for over 2 months and the deal fell through a couple times, something like that, he or she might think, you know what? I'm going to double in this deal. Let me see what I can do. Either I provide a little kickback for the seller to make them happy, or why don't we just like figure out a way to get a seller agree to that, because maybe an event comes up, or another property is closing very soon, so we do need to make a fast decision here. So now you're getting the agent to work against their own clients unintentionally, by making yourself a little bit likable in the very beginning.
Man, that's so good. I love what you said. I want to pull that out. Listeners who are listening to this, I think it's so important because I do feel like people, whenever they make an offer that's super aggressive, I agree with you. I've seen agents do this where they come up with some BS story of like why it needs to be that way, or like you were saying earlier, they insult the house. Well, it's really damaged or it's really old. And it's like, what if a better approach was, hey man, I'm an investor. This is where my numbers work. Can we do? I think you're right. People appreciate that level of transparency and honesty, and it saves. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it saves you time.
Easily,
like you're not like this back and forth trying to like be all kind of manipulative. It's just direct. Does this work? Okay, let me know if it ever does.
Yeah. Because I think people misinterpret the word negotiation. They feel like they need to attack, but negotiation, in my opinion, is all about how to figure out your positionings and how to like sort of understand the psychology side of the other person. Once you can understand their motivation, right, then it's very easy to kind of work to work out a deal. And another thing I want to mention is that in real estate, you will find that, or in business in general, people love to do business with people that they like. Okay, so if you're not likable and I just don't get a good vibe with you, even if the number makes sense, we may not actually do business together. Right. So I always capitalize on that relationship. Like it has to be a decent vibe. Right. So don't go in, try to attack. The negotiation really happens at the end of the whole process. If you really want to knock off additional 20K, after the other side invested so much time and I guess emotion with you, they will want to just be like, you know what, I like you, or you know what, up until this point, I already don't have the time because I invested like a couple of weeks with you. I just want to be done with it. Right, I'm already thinking about what I need to do with that money. Right, okay. If your mortgage or your lender cannot appraise my property to X amount, I'm okay with just making it work for you. Right, that happens so many times too. Like within our investing journey.
Wow,
people do that way too quickly in the very beginning.
So good, man. So good.